What's up, guys, and welcome to the first episode of Cail's Cast. We got my brother Josh here. Say hello.
Hello.
Your hand disappears, so if you're making a gesture, we can't see it. But that's all right.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. His backgrounds are so funny, right? It's like, if you don't have a green screen in particular, what they see and what they don't is like random. Right? It's
Okay,
like,
good to know.
there you go. Yeah, perfect. Yeah. So just to start off, what you been playing, man? What you been up to?
Elden Ring.
Oh, are you in the
DLC?
That's what I was gonna. Did you start doing the DLC, or do you like start over, or what are you doing?
No, because I had to start over because my stupid head self was as soon as I beat the game, I started New Game Plus because I needed catharsis. I needed to wipe the floor with Margit.
Oh, sure.
So I did that, and it felt really good. But then now I'm at the point where it's like, okay, well, to get to the DLC, whether you're New Game Plus or starting a new game, I'm gonna have to play through the whole game.
Right.
And most of what I saw online was recommending to not be on New Game Plus.
Right, because it's harder. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
New character, but still good.
Yeah.
Great game.
Yeah. So, what are you going to change your build this time, or are you sticking with?
Yeah. No, I'm changing it up. That was part of how I was going to justify another playthrough.
Yeah.
Not do the same thing. So I wanted to do more magic, so I'm going Faith and Dex.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Yeah. Do you have a build in mind, or just kind of knowing those are your go for?
Yeah, no, not particularly. Just those two. I didn't know because my first time through, I didn't use spells at all.
Yeah.
So there are some incantations that require intelligence.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Which is weird.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah. I'll be interested to see what. Yeah, I'll be interested to see what kind of build you find, because I know a lot of people do like the strength faith build.
Uh-huh.
So it'll be interesting what you get, because like I did in my first playthrough, I did a Dex int build. And before they told everyone it was like the right way to play, I used like the Moonveil blade and the bleed build and stuff. I didn't have all the fancy, like there's some ashes and stuff. Yeah, I didn't have all that. But
ashes.
Yeah, it's like, but I just kind of did that basic build. Although I've heard that is not as effective in the DLC. But
that if it's a popular strong build in the standard game, it makes sense that they would be like, eat this, suckers.
Right. Well, I was listening to a couple of podcasts with guys talking about the DLC, and they were saying that bleed doesn't work as well because the windows on the bosses are so much smaller. You can't get enough hits in to build the bleed meter up.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So I don't know. I haven't played it yet. Yeah.
Neither have I.
I feel like that's the game. Oh, go ahead.
No, I wasn't gonna say anything.
I feel like that's one of those games, though. Like you can just always kind of get sucked back in. It's like Zetan's brother was here, and he wanted to try it out. So I was like talking him through the beginning and how to look for things, and kind of the basic workings of the game. And I was like, well, damn, now I want to play. It's like start up another little character. I was like, no, I don't have time for this. Put it away.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, especially like I probably could have done the same exact build and still been okay. But especially because I'm doing a different build, it's like it's so cool. Like I've got enough of the prior knowledge to not be like as lost as I was the first time.
Right.
But it's still such a cool world, and all the fights are a little bit different because now I've got these magics. I'm having to oh man, I lost the word. To watch my mana. I've never had to do that before.
Right.
So I'm constantly, okay, do I want a whole bunch of mana flasks, or am I going to want health? Because I'm going to,
Right.
It's a manage my mana. That's what I was the word.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's interesting because Yeah, I did the same. It's like you had a little bit of mana usage for a thing or two, right? And like your summon, and that was it, right?
Exactly.
So,
Yep. It would be an Ash, and then I'm just fighting the rest of the time.
right.
Um, and now it's an Ash, and I can still throw a couple fireballs, and then I down a mana potion.
Nice. There's some.
It's cool.
That's cool. That's cool. There's some sick
Yeah.
magic in that game, man.
There is some very cool magic. So weapons, I'm not high enough yet to use them, but I've got a winged scythe.
Ooh.
Right now I've been using a whip, which that's really interesting. I don't
That's
know if you
cool.
ever used a whip.
I did not.
It has a surprising amount of stagger.
Oh.
So there's a lot of like guys that were tough before that now I just whip them and it pauses their attacks.
Dang.
So it's just like, yeah, it's just like no, and then they're dead after a few.
like a newspaper on a dog.
Yeah, very much so. But the weapons I'm working towards is a winged scythe, which is faith and dex. I think it's actually strength, dex and strength equal, and then faith,
okay.
Which causes blood loss, so that's cool. And then I just got a tree. It's a great spear. That's strength, dex, faith.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. That the one that does like the lightning stuff.
I think so.
Yeah.
I didn't actually look at the art, the ash that's on it, but
yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, that's cool. So how far are you in right now?
I am at the Liurnia of the Lakes area.
Gotcha. So how did you feel getting back through the castle? Did you just skirt around it, or?
No, I went through it because I wanted to get some of the items and I wanted the runes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So no, I went through the castle.
Yeah.
Mostly fine. You know, it's still hard. You still die because you mess up a button combination or forget to dodge, or you're like, no, I can get this one more fireball. Oh no, I can't.
Panic roll.
Yeah, panic roll. Oh, I forgot that the boss does that. Or the big thing for me is that the whip cancels a lot of attacks, but not every attack. So
sure.
I don't know what they're called, but there's the ogre thing roughly halfway through, the guy with the big like scimitar like sword.
Mm-hmm.
And all of his sword swings, the whip would stop. But if he's got this like kick move, and it would not interrupt the kick. So if I'm in the middle of an attack and he kicks, then it still hit him, but he just punts me, and then
yeah.
So it's just kind of cool. Like you can still die even if you know sort of what you're doing. And, I'm not as strong as I'm not as tough as before because I was heavy armor and strength and lots of health.
Yeah.
And I have put points into vigor, but I've been putting them more into like faith and everything else. So
yeah, it's fun. You know, when I messed around just for a few there, I just started, right. So, but I was doing the guard counters. Did you ever do those?
I did them a lot in the first playthrough.
Oh, okay, because I was a dex build, so I never had a shield, so I didn't block at all. So like, I was like, man, that makes these guys so easy. It's like block counter, they're down, and freaking kill them. Like, it's like, man, I used to skirt around doing little like stealth kills or like dodging and hitting, and I'm like, dude, I don't have to worry about that. It's like that first like elite night, in the camp, like really early, right? It's like that took me a bunch of times in my dex build to get through there. I mean, it's early, right? It's early game, but with the freaking shield, I was just like, ding, ksh, ding, ksh, ding, ksh. Oh, you're down, dead. I was like, wow, okay.
Yep. So that was like my first death this time because I sort of forgot his moveset.
Yeah.
And I was getting cocky because I hadn't died yet, and he lunges at you and does this quick 3-stab move. And I just missed the dodge, and so stab, and I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, in my last playthrough, I could take those 3 hits and still be alive.
That's funny. Yeah. What a difference.
But
yeah.
But it's cool. I mean, it's what gives a game like this so much replayability.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that Shadow of the Erd Tree is definitely on my list, but I'm like, man, going through like I spent like 200 hours almost on it the first time, so like doing that again plus another 40 to 60 whatever it is on Shadow of the Erd Tree, I'm like, that's a lot. It's like maybe someday, but I don't know. You've been playing anything else other than Elden Ring?
I'm still working through Yakuza Like a Dragon.
Oh, okay.
I'm. I think I'm close to the end. I don't really know. I try not to look up, you know, spoilers. I don't like. I think I'm at the end of chapter 12.
Okay.
I don't know how many chapters there are though.
Gotcha.
But it feels very much like I'm close to some sort of end. So I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
But I love the game. It's wacky, and so much fun.
Yeah.
Very different from Elden Ring, but it's good because if I need a break, I can switch over.
Sure. Because so like a Dragon, this is the first one where they went turn based, right?
Correct. Yep.
So they have like all kind of crazy jobs, right? That's what I remember hearing about.
Yes.
Like,
some of them aren't so crazy, but
oh, okay. No. So like, what are the kind of jobs that you get? Like, because it's like an actual job, but they use that as like a class system too, right?
Yeah. So like, one of the guys, probably my favorite character is Nanba, and literally his first job or class is homeless.
Dude's a homie.
He is a homie. He's the real homie. And he's like the mage. That him / that class is like the mage in this game. So he's got fire breath that he gets a couple levels of. One of his earliest abilities is, I forget what it's called, but basically he like throws a bunch of birdseed on him and pigeons just attack. Stuff like that. He's got some debuffs. There's some regular ones, like one of the guys is a cop, and then he can be an enforcer and something else that's not too crazy. But there's a breakdancer. I don't think that's what it's called. I forget the name of it. But there's a breakdancing class. The is it just a female class, or there's one that's an idol, and they're like
This like pop singer,
I guess. They're yeah. So they've got this weird like microphone weapon, and they do Cail and some other stuff. Yeah.
Nice.
I think the main character, his normal class is hero.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So is it turn based like old school? Like you just like clicking through a menu and they go up and attack? Do you move at all during combat, or like how does that work?
You don't move, but or at least you don't control it. But everybody's moving around.
Okay.
So especially when there's a lot of enemies, they can block you if you go to attack an enemy that you have to like run over to them, and there's a bad guy in between you. He might smack you and block your attack.
Oh.
But they can't block special abilities.
Okay.
But they could block your regular attack. Some abilities, it makes it kind of funky because there are attacks that will affect an area, like an enemy and everybody around him. So sometimes you're kind of like choosing an enemy based on how many guys you're going to smack.
Sure. Cool.
Yeah, it's fun. You get it's got a bond level system with your teammates, so you build up friendships with them basically.
Yeah.
And you get that's another one of my favorite parts, is the story's actually pretty well written.
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of like just random crazy stuff, but then intermixed with like some pretty good melodrama, and just some decent like people sharing their feelings with each other kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. It's a wild mix, but I love it.
Nice.
Yeah, and so yeah, as you build up their bond levels, that unlocks more jobs for them. It does something else, like they get more experience when they're not in your active party or something.
Okay.
And then they also attack. They can follow up attacks, and they do it more often the higher you. So if you hit an enemy, it knocks them down. Somebody else will like follow up and like hit them.
Oh, sure. Okay. I get you. That's cool though. So then it gives you some like incentive other than just story to like build this friendship.
Yep.
Nice. That's cool. So I kind of forgot to ask, when you do those jobs, so are these jobs specific to each character, or can all of the characters become all of the jobs?
Both. Some I don't think any character can become all the jobs. Some jobs are available to. I don't know if any job is actually available to everyone. Everybody has like a starting job that is only theirs.
Okay.
There are some jobs. There are for sure some jobs that all the guys can be and the girls can be. There might be one or two that everyone can be. I'm not positive on that.
Okay.
So I haven't actually looked too much.
So limited crossover.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Okay. Cool. So you sound like you're really liking it. So have you looked ahead? Because they have, what's the next one? Infinite Wealth is the newest one. Like,
I know of its existence, but that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll probably play it. But I got to finish this one first. So
yeah.
Plus, I just started Elden Ring, so
probably, couple 100 hours.
Yeah, it's gonna be a minute, but
yeah.
But eventually, yeah, I'm excited, and
cool.
I've heard it's pretty good and just picks up where the first one kind of left off. So
yeah,
it's a lot of same characters.
Nice. So have you felt it all? So this is kind of like almost like a reboot to the franchise, right? Because it's got like a whole history of, I don't know, 6 games or something. But this one theoretically kind of almost doesn't fully restart it, but kind of, right? Starts a new main protagonist and stuff.
Yep.
Okay. And so have you felt at all like you should have played the other games before, or has it been pretty easy getting into it?
No. And I did just like I played 1 or 2 of them, like a couple of hours.
Oh, okay.
But no, I think there's stuff that longtime fans would appreciate and things that probably I miss that someone who's played all the other games would be like, oh, that's a, call back to this or whatever.
Sure.
But, no, you absolutely do not need any prior knowledge. It's a whole new character.
Right.
It's a new story. So
yeah, nice.
No, you don't have to have prior knowledge. Yeah,
that's good because Yakuza hasn't really been of interest to me. Like, I know a lot of people who love it, and there's parts of it that the storytelling seems kind of fun, but
it is.
I don't know, for whatever reason, they just never really caught my attention. But Like a Dragon seemed a little bit more, but then I was like, but there's like 6 games that are all 40 to 60 hours, and I'm like, I don't want 300 hours gameplay to even try this other new one, So
nope, not required.
Good.
It's if you like the style of game that the old ones are, they're fun because it's a lot of things that I love about Like a Dragon are in those games too. There's lots of wacky mini games, the same kind of like melodramatic gangster storyline. But no, yeah, you definitely don't have to play through all those to appreciate this one.
That's good. Interesting. So that seems kind of cool. I mean, those are big long RPGs, so if you liking it means there's opens up more, right?
Yep.
That's good. Well, let's see. So I've been skirting around, dude. I've been playing way too many and not finishing enough. But so
I know that feeling.
Part of it is I finished the big RPG, which we'll talk about a little later. But so I've been playing 100 Heroes, which we talked about a little before. But Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes. I think I'm about 40 hours, give or take, on that one.
Nice.
And 100 Heroes. I mean, I know you kind of know, but I think I like the turn-based battles are good, but they're not like amazing, right? It's like unless I was fighting a boss, I pretty much just I set up auto and just hit auto every time and have them just do it. the story is probably mediocre, to be honest, right? It's like there's some interesting parts, but really the whole premise of like, oh, the Empire's bad, you're a nobody, but I'm going to set you in front as in charge of this rebel army just because,
So I'm old and I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, and she's young. She's like 20, You're like, okay. So a lot of that stuff, it's kind of like meh. But the like trying to find and collect all of the heroes and get them into your party is like super addicting to me. So like, because you'll find them and you can always tell that they're ones that would join your party because they look totally different than everybody around. So you go talk to them, and they'll be like,
that person's unique.
Exactly. So like, okay, you're one. And you go talk to them, and they're like, I only like strong people. And you're like, okay, so I got to level up a little bit, and I come back for you, right? Or, like, I just did, one was like, he's like a theater person. And so in order to get him, you have to have found like a certain play manuscript, and if you have that and bring it to him, then he'll be like, oh, you have this manuscript that hasn't been around in forever. If you let me come, I'll set up a theater or whatever, that kind of stuff. But for whatever reason, like I love that, like trying to make sure you get all these little things to get all the characters. I really like I can just get hooked, and like if I can't find them, I'll pull up guides or whatever, and like, okay, what am I missing in this area? A lot of backtracking to find characters and stuff. And then there's this stupid, like, I don't think it serves any purpose other than money that I can think of, but there's like a trade house. You can't buy or sell the stuff from the trade house in any normal store. So the only reason for it is you find a place where it sells it cheap, and then hold on to it until you can find another trade house in another town who buys it expensive.
Okay.
Right? So like I found a place where I bought, I don't know, it was like a glass or painting or something like that, and bought it for like $800. And then so I bought it all out, and then I found a place later on, and it was like, oh, we buy it for $2,600. So like, sweet, sell. But that's it. It's like, it's just money, but for whatever reason, like that little like finding, nickel and diming stuff, like I don't know, it kind of it tweaks the right things in my brain that want to, get every penny out of stuff.
All right.
Yeah. So I've been liking that one. I kind of got on other stuff, so fell off of that a little bit, but I still want to finish it. I don't think I'm too far off from the end, but I'm not sure. If you look like how long to beat, it says it's like 60 hours for like main game plus extras. So
okay.
That says 20 hours more. I don't know. That feels like a lot, but I don't know. So anyway, so I've been playing that one, and then I've been playing. I got Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. You know that? Have you seen that one at all?
Yeah.
I have discovered in the last couple of years that Metroidvanias are right up my alley. It's like.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it plays a good mix to the long, more, RPGs that I play. Because a lot of times they're, 10, 15, maybe 20 hours. Like, Hollow Knight's an exception. It's like 40 or whatever. But I played another one that we'll talk about a little later. But Prince of Persia, so it's a Metroidvania. It's pretty tough, actually. It was a lot harder than I was expecting. I have died many, many times. But the coolest thing, I think, is, so, in every Metroidvania, you get those parts of the map where, like, you can't get to yet. You have to get a new ability first. And usually, you have some kind of, like, markers or something that you put on your map, and then have to remember what that means when you get more powers and try to remember where you were at to use those to get the stuff. Prince of Persia has this thing, and they use it like a marker, but you basically take like a snapshot, and so it'll be a marker on the map, but if you go hover over it, it'll have this snapshot of the screen you were in when you noticed you couldn't get to someplace. So it just makes it really easy to be like, oh, what was this? And you go look, it's like, oh, I need double jump. I still don't have that. I don't need to go back and look yet, right? It's a really simple thing, but after playing like Hollow Knight or some of these other ones, it's really helpful because when I get a new ability, I don't have to go check every single one because I can just look at this picture and go, oh no, I don't have that yet.
Pull up your map.
Yeah, so I really like that.
Cool.
Yeah, and the combat is way more complex than I expected going in. Like, it actually has... What? Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, did you play any of the other ones? Any of the older ones?
Yeah. I played Sands of Time, and I think there was one other one. I don't remember.
The one from 2008. I think it's just called Prince of Persia.
Yes, I played that one. I don't think I beat it, but I do remember playing it to some. In fact, I think
was one of my favorite games for a while. It probably still is. I could probably replay it and remember how much I love it.
Yeah.
Our cat, rest in peace, lady, Elika. That's where her name came from.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was funny because we were trying to come up with her name, and I guess Katie just like Googled, I don't know, video game princesses or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so she was the one who suggested it, and I was like, yes.
Like, dope.
Definitely.
Good name. That's funny.
Yeah, I was like, how do you know that name? She was like, oh, I've Googled it. I was like, oh, okay.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
Man.
Anyway, sorry, you were talking about...
No, it's fine.
Yeah, combat.
Yeah, so the combat is really deep. So, you have like your forward and backward attacks, whatever, and then you have combos. And so, but then like if you can do like a sweep attack, and then you could just use that to keep them up in the air, or you can do a sweep attack and then jump, put them up into the air and do an air combo, or use it to push them away. You get like these specials that you have to build up like a meter, and then once you build up enough, then you can do your special, and you have different options that you'll find throughout the world. And so like timing things, you have a block and a parry, and you can get the perfect parry, right? But then there's like there's attacks that they'll flash red, and you have to dodge, you can't parry it, or they'll flash yellow. And if you get the perfect parry on that, it's an insta kill. So that's pretty cool, and it's like a super flashy animation thing. But yeah, really really fun. Like I thought the first boss is one they showed in trailers. It's like a manticore thing, and it was actually not too difficult, right? He was like the first real boss. I took him down really pretty quickly, and I was like, okay, this is no big deal. But then I got to like another boss, and it took me like 20 tries or something. Like, we had to like memorize certain timings for things because they would like two-shot me and I'd be dead. And I was like, freaking crap, and then you got it. You have almost that Elden Ring sense. You're like, frick yeah, I got him.
Yeah.
That was so.
Good feeling.
It is, man. It is, and so I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I don't necessarily need everything to be difficult, but I do. I like that sense of, I don't know.
Well, yeah, when you can feel that the game is hard but fair, like you don't feel like you're dying because the controls are a little slippery or whatever. You're like, no. If I just get the timing down, I can do this.
Yeah.
And so then when you do, it feels very cool because you're like, that was hard, but it was fair, and I was able to beat it. Now I've overcome this challenge, and that's just a cool feeling.
It is. Yeah. It's that sense of triumph, Yeah. Okay. Yeah, super good. So I've definitely been enjoying that one. I don't know how long that is. I think it's like 20, 30 hours if you don't get everything, and then like 40 or so if you do. So I usually in these kind of games, I get everything I kind of can without working too hard, and then get to the end. And if I don't have that much in them and feel like it, I'll go get the rest. But yeah, I have been enjoying that. It's been a good time.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I needed a game for my Steam Deck, which I am looking at Steam Fest, so I might have something different by like, the next time we talk. But I just put Baldur's Gate back on there.
Nice.
So I just started, so I'm still early, I think.
Is your first time playing it?
What? Baldur's Gate?
Yeah.
No. I beat it before, played some with you. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
No, it's all good. Yeah, but so I made myself a paladin because I just wanted something totally different than what I played before. So
good for you. Apparently, it's like the least played class.
Oh, really?
Which I think is bonkers.
Yeah.
There needs to be more love for paladins.
I would say, man, it was pretty sweet. I was like, we were fighting.
Smite is cool.
Well, yeah, and not just that, but just like so I got the big flaming sword from that demon in the first area, which it's so fun. Like I got it, like I saved beforehand because I'm like, I know I want that, I'm gonna get it. And so the first time I tried to kill him, and I'm playing it on tactical to up the ante, because I already burned through it last time, so I'm like, I needed to get a little harder, right? So I play on tactical, sure. So I try to beat him, and there's no shot. I'm like, he killed that freaking Illithid so fast, and I'm like, not gonna happen. So I go again. I was like, oh, that's right. So I, you know a little more the second time through. So I go in and I change Shadowheart's moves and give her command. And we run in there, and she goes, put down the weapon. He goes, okay, and drops it. So I just pick it up and run.
Nice.
So good. Yeah, so I'm running around with this big, fire sword. And so I'm like, what was it? I just got to the Druid camp, so you have that first kind of goblin fight or whatever. Not Druid camp. Shoot, what is that place?
Druid camp.
Is it Druid camp?
Well,
maybe,
it's the Druid Grove /
yeah.
camp.
Yep, there you go. And so you do that fight outside. And so I'm running down in front, and I'm fighting the big, what was it, bear, the ogre bear thing. Oh my gosh, I can't think of what they're called now. Bugbear.
Ogre bear. Oh,
Bugbear. Right. It's like it looks like I don't know, whatever. It's like Bugbear, that thing. So I'm out there fighting it, and then he it hits the other guys, and they're almost dead. So then I use my little I'll heal everyone around me, and then I freaking hit him with my fire sword. I'm like, oh, you can't touch me. Oh, it was sweet. I don't know why people don't play it. It's pretty sweet. But anyway, maybe they're not as powerful later on. I don't know. It seems pretty good right now. So
yeah, and maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I am making that up, but I feel like I read that somewhere.
I believe it. There's at least in the beginning, if you're not going for a very specific build where you're multi-classing and stuff for certain abilities, there's some classes that just don't power up the same way,
Yeah, I mean, and I think if you're going, most people, if they're going for a frontline fighter, they're doing fighter or barbarian.
Yeah.
And then if they want, magic, they want a cleric or
sorcerer or something,
full caster.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's the hybrids. I mean, the ranger is special. We don't need to get into that, but paladin and Eldritch Knight isn't played very often either.
You're right.
It's kind of the, you're just like a little bit of both. And,
right.
A lot of people are like, why do that when I can just be
best
at this thing?
Right. Yep. No, and it makes sense, but we'll see. I'll play with it and see down the line. My favorite thing about that game is the build craft, just piecing things together and figuring out how to get the most out of it. I'm still the most in love with my freaking throwing barbarian build from my last playthrough. She was unstoppable. But anyway,
Karlach is unstoppable.
Dude, she's awesome. I love Karlach. She's my favorite. But anyway, so all right, so for the main topic of this one, we're going to talk about the best games we've played so far this year. So, they don't have to be from this year. I know that's how a lot of people do it, but I don't know about you. I don't.
Good, because.
Yeah, unless you're buying 10 new games a year, how do you have enough to base it off of? But
yeah, I'm not current. I still haven't played Witcher 3, so.
Me either, dude. I'm actually looking at that on Steam sale, thinking, oh, maybe I should get that for my Steam Deck and try it.
If you don't have it yet, it's a good price on the Steam sale.
It seems
I already
$4 or something.
Yes, something like that, maybe
Yeah,
5. Yeah,
yeah. So
you should do it.
I probably will. I already own it for PlayStation, which is why I haven't. But it's like I'm not playing it there because I always have something. So I might. I don't know. I'm browsing right now.
Yep. Yeah, same.
So see. So for me, I have plenty to talk about from this year. What about you though? What's doesn't have to be in order, but what's a game that you would say is one of the top you've played so far this year?
I mean, Yakuza Like a Dragon is probably my favorite. I tried, and actually I enjoyed it. I just got distracted with Elden Ring, but Lords of the Fallen
Oh,
hit Game Pass,
yeah.
which is a Souls-like, and so I played a pretty decent amount, a good chunk of that. Um, I don't know exactly how far. It feels like not very far. You're supposed to light these like 5 beacons, and I did the first one before I stopped.
Gotcha.
And I still wouldn't say I stopped. It's still installed. I might go back to it. Uh, it it feels you're a lot more floaty than
Okay.
like Elden Ring or Dark Souls,
Oh,
which is really weird and takes some getting used to.
sure.
And like for a while, I was like, maybe the combat just isn't very good. But I don't. After like 10, 5-10 hours, I feel pretty confident that that's not the case. It's still good. It's just different. They tried to make it feel different. But it's still, I think it's still good. And the dual world dimension thing is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
Have you noticed any like cool ways that plays out? It's like it, that was the part that interested me, but like, do they do any? Have you seen anything unique or interesting doing with those kind of dual world?
yeah, there's a lot of a couple of places in particular where you have to go back and forth in order to traverse the
Mm-hmm.
area. Um, and so it's it's really fun. Like, oh, there's just this big lake or whatever, and there's a couple of huts, and then you go into the umbral or whatever, and now the lake is gone. You go on the lake floor, I guess, because now there's no water, and there's like all this stuff that opens up. Or um, there's area where you're on these like platforms, just like in like the side of a cavern,
Mm-hmm.
or not a cavern, canyon, um, and you go into umbral, and it opens up these paths along the side, and so you're like, and when you're going back and forth, you can be like, oh look, now I went up this ramp, and then I went back to the regular world, and now it's gone. It's just empty space. um, so yeah, I think they use it pretty well for the most part. There's the boss I just beat. There's like, if you use your lantern, there's these things that you can activate,
Oh,
to get some like stun on him.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Nice. What they have a good variety of weapons so far, or
Yeah, I mean, I haven't tried everything,
sure.
but I've mostly been using a mace, and just bonking things, which has been pretty fun. But yeah, pretty probably not quite as many weapons as Elden Ring, especially now that the DLC came out and they added like
No,
8 new categories or something crazy.
yeah, it's like 40 new weapons or 100 new weapons or something. Yeah.
It's like 100 new weapons, but like they
Eight.
added 8 new types too. Like,
It's crazy.
yeah. So not quite that variety, but you know, pretty much everything you would expect: the swords and axes and maces, and I think there's daggers, bows. So yeah, yeah,
And then
decent options.
don't you I think I heard somewhere, don't you always have some kind of ranged option? Like something you can throw or a
Yeah,
bow or something?
yeah. So basically, you've got like your weapon slot, your shield slot, or I think you can dual wield things too, and then you've got a third slot, which yeah is either um, what are they, like open hand throw. You collect different types of things that you can throw, and you have an ammunition meter. So
Oh.
different types of ammunition use more different amounts of that meter,
Okay.
and then and then you can collect consumable items that refill that.
Nice.
So, like you start off with a rock, and I don't remember what the other thing is, but even at this point, I've collected throwing axes, a couple different types of grenades.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, and some other things that I haven't even used. I'm pretty sure I have like 10 different types of throwing ammunition. But then that is also your spell slot if you're gonna use magic.
Okay. So it's kind of if you're not going to use magic, here's other options for.
Yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Something different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. It feels. I mean, I'm no true veteran of Souls-likes. I'm mostly played just Elden Ring, a little bit of the first Dark Souls.
Mm-hmm.
But it feels like familiar enough to be like, oh yeah, cool. I kind of understand how some of this works, but also different enough that you're still like, ooh, that's new and interesting.
Sure. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just on that one. Was Elden Ring the first like Souls-like you played, or did you play a different one first? Oh, was Elden Ring?
Nope. Elden Ring was the first.
Nice.
I was always nope. Souls games are not for me.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Technically, I was that way because of the first Dark Souls. Demon Souls, maybe? No, I think it was the first Dark Souls. So I put like an hour into it, like.
Right, and you die 20 times, and you're like, screw this.
2006, 2007. I don't remember when that game came out. A long time ago.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. Died a bunch of times, and I was like, nope, this game's not for me. I don't want to do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Now I feel differently.
Yeah. It's funny, right, how quick that genre can turn you. Because I was the same way, right? And I mean, I got a little bit hooked on Code Vein before going into Elden Ring. But I had the same thing where I had played Code Vein before and only I still probably put in 5-8 hours, something like that. And I was like, it's too hard. I'm not liking this. It's not fun. These games suck. And then I don't even know I can't remember why I went back to it. But I watched just like one little video that showed me some trick I was missing. I was like, oh, that makes sense. And it all kind of clicked, right? And then I get through that game. I was like, shoot, I need more of that. So I was going to get Demon Souls. And then at the time, Elden Ring was on sale for the same price. And I was like, well, why would I buy the older, even though it's a newer version, but it's older. Elden Ring's the new thing. So okay, I'll do that. And I was like, yep, I'm sucked in now. I haven't played them all yet, but I bought the original trilogy of the Dark Souls to play. I tried Bloodborne again. I do not like that as much, and a lot of people swear by it, like it's their favorite. Yeah. They love it, but I was playing through it, and I got through the first boss, got through the second area, got through the second boss. I don't know, a couple of bosses in. Got to another one, and I was like, the thing is, I think part of it is people love that like eldritch horror vibe, and I don't. So
that's what I was gonna say.
Right. I think that's part of it. Because
bad, man.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I don't like horror games, and it's not a horror game at all. But there's just, that's it. It doesn't I didn't make me not like it, but it's not enough. It's not going to pull me through a game, because there were parts of it I liked.
It's kind of like Victorian Gothic aesthetic too, right? So that also doesn't strike me as your vibe.
Yeah.
So just the everything about the game is not set up for Bryce.
Yeah, pretty much. But Dark Souls is that dark fantasy, high fantasy is my jam. So, yeah. So I will slowly work through those. I don't know why I was playing the first Dark Souls, and I'm pretty far, and then I can't remember what came up. Something came up, and I hopped off it, and now I'm annoyed because I didn't finish it. And I probably need to restart it because I don't remember what I was doing or where I was at or why or any of that. But I will say, it's funny, people say that Elden Ring is the easiest, but after playing Elden Ring and going back, I would die in the world, but I didn't die to any bosses in Demon Souls. And then in Dark Souls, I think only once or twice died to a boss. everything else in the no, I'm not. It's not a flex. Like I die a million times in the world, like just figuring it out. Like the amount of times in Dark Souls, I'm trying to remember what level it was. There's like with the tree guys, and you're like in the forest. I fell off that stupid cliff like 100 times. I was so pissed. It's like I would fight them and I'd like freaking back off it. I'm like, God dang it. So there's no flex. No, I'm not some great gamer. Bosses have seemed easy to me because I think they're not as complex as Elden Ring. But
well, that's probably true. I still died plenty of times. But I also had my own dumb. I was working through some crap. But Brady said something very similar. He played Dark Souls 3, I think, after playing Elden Ring.
yeah,
And he felt the same way, that Dark Souls 3 was a lot easier
interesting.
than Elden Ring.
Huh?
Yeah, it's. But that's definitely that's not the consensus.
Right.
A lot of what I've seen online is people are like, nope, like 3 is typically has some of the hardest bosses anyway. I don't know if it's the hardest game overall, but
yeah,
so, I don't know.
I think some of it too, though, is if you're a veteran of the series, of this style of play, you go in having an idea of what you're doing, what you're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Like with us who go into Elden Ring first, it's like we're learning. Everything's new, right? So the styling and how you go about figuring out a boss and how do you go about building a character and stuff is new, right? So, I mean, like when I first played, I didn't put points into vigor for a long time, and I was dying a lot. And I was like, what the crap? Oh, I have no health. And you're like, okay, so that, that's something. And if you go watch a guide, which I did afterwards, I was like, oh, shoot. They're all like, vigor first. Get vigor to 20 before you do anything. And you're like, okay, well, that makes sense, right? So.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was fat rolling for the first 4 hours of the game.
Oh shoot!
I was heavy load. Yeah.
Oh, brutal.
It took me. Yeah, I don't even know how. It's like now I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense why I was dying all the time. But at the time, I didn't know any better. I started with the Vanguard. No, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Jeremy, I think, and he just said something about it's just something small, like medium load or something, or he mentioned specifically the rolling.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, what? And so then I looked it up, and sure enough,
yeah,
heavy load rolling this whole time. Just boom, boom.
Oh, so rough.
Yeah, so rough.
Oh man,
no wonder I couldn't beat Margit.
Yeah, shoot, try to fat roll through that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's impossible because he's got, especially in the second phase, he's got multiple 5 swing attacks. You can't fat roll through that.
No, unless you got crap ton of endurance and are tanking all of it, you're screwed.
Well, yeah. And even when I did beat him, that first character, it was a lot of blocking and tanking it because I just had heavy armor and a lot of health.
Yeah.
Eventually.
You're right. All right. Well, man, Souls games. We can talk about those for forever. That's kind of crazy.
I know. Sorry.
No, dude. No problem. I mean, it's me too. It does crack me up. For so long, I hated them and made fun of everybody who liked them, and then now I'm one of them. So whatever.
Oh, yeah. I never made fun of them, but yeah, I was definitely a big absolutely not, no way ever. And then yep. All it took was somebody getting it for me as a gift, and
suckered you in.
I'm all in now. Yeah.
Cool. Well, so the first one of the games, and I'm still working through kind of my overall, ranking for games for the end of the year, but we got some time yet. But I played this one, and I kind of mentioned it earlier. It's another Metroidvania. It's called Tales of Kinzera Zao. Have you heard about this one?
No.
Okay, so Zao is made by Abu Bakr Salim, and he's an actor. So he did the voice for Bayek in Assassin's Creed Origins. If you played that, he's an actor in House of the Dragon, whatever. And then he made this studio, and so it's a Metroidvania. It's pretty short. I beat the game in maybe 8 hours and went around collecting all the stuff for the platinum and finished it with like 10 to 11 hours. So,
Wow.
yeah, pretty tight experience. But what was interesting to me, so this one has a lot of the typical kind of Metroidvania fashions, right? You have traversal combat, you're picking up new powers that lets you traverse new areas, whatever. They got combat challenges, they have traversal challenges, some of which are absolutely freaking brutal. But, but the storytelling in this game was way better than the vast majority that I have, at least for me, and maybe there's some I'm missing, but and the Metroidvanias I've been playing, the storytelling is usually very small or almost doesn't matter. It's like, it's a secondary thing, right? It's all about the gameplay. And this one had a very story-focused game. It actually ended up being super emotional. Like, I had grown man tears at the end, like tearing up, and it's like, dang, man,
Nice.
it hit me. It was really good. So he tied the reason I brought up the creators, because he talked a lot in like podcasts and stuff he kind of told some of his story about losing his father and going through grief and stuff, and so he kind of used that as the backdrop for this story. And so I think because it was like that, it felt very personal and real. And so you have these gameplay, and you'll do like this little story section, but it's all voiced, and it felt very powerful, and in
Nice.
the little story, yeah. So it's cool, but it didn't take away from the good gameplay. Like, the traversal was tight. There's a few little complaints I have, like you could like cling to a wall, like you're gonna do a wall jump or whatever. But I felt like that spacing was off. So if I got too close to the wall, I would cling to it. So I would try to like double jump, and instead of getting the double jump, I'd cling to the wall and then jump the other way. I'd be like, God damn it, knock it off. But the combat was actually super challenging. It's like you start off, so you have two maps. You have the moon and the sun, and the moon is more range oriented, and the sun is more melee. And you get different abilities with them or whatever, and you hot swap. So with a single press of a button, you switch the other one, and so it's kind of built upon the idea of, you start the combo in one, you switch to the other. If you're switching back and forth, you can kind of just completely destroy enemies if you know. But the enemies then are also built that way, so they'll have like a shield, and they'll be like masked in red, and if it's that, you have to hit them from the sun mask, because if you use the moon, you barely damage them. So you got to like break their shield, and then you can swap, stuff like that. And so they'll come in different groupings of these enemies. And so the first beginning, you're learning that, and it's easy. You're just tearing stuff up. You're like, sweet, no big deal. This is fun. You're blowing stuff up. And then you get to this elevator, and it's now infamous. Like, everyone who plays this game talks about the damn elevator because it's early, and it's like wave after wave after wave that just gets harder and harder and harder and harder, and you can't go anywhere. And it's a small little elevator, and there's spikes on the end, so you can't like go jumping off the wall, and you die like over, and you're like, beat the first round. You're like, heck yeah. Oh, there's another round. Okay, beat that one. Okay, good. You get another round. You die. You got to start over. Get there again. Maybe beat the third round. Fourth round, even harder. Like, freaking A, man. It's like you finally beat that. And you're like, ah! And it's like not even the first boss. It's just like a hard area, But I really good. Like, when you learn, like, it's one of those, it's not a huge range of moves, but it demands you learn what you have and know how to use it, right? So really, really enjoyed that. And then they would have like the traversal stuff was interesting. So you have like jump, double jump, dash, kind of all the normal trappings, but then you get like this float, so it's like a glide. And so a lot of the traversal challenges would be like glide, but to get down, you got to drop and glide again and drop and glide again, right? Because if you drop, you'll just
cool.
Yeah, so it was really fun, but lots of spikes, lots of spike deaths. But yeah, so that actually was a surprise for me. Like, I knew I wanted to try it. It came to PS Plus, so that's how I did it. But
Nice.
Yeah, I kind of a surprise hit for me this year that I really enjoyed.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sounds awesome.
yeah. So what about you? What else? What else you got? Any other games that have hit for you this year?
A game called Cobalt Core.
Oh, okay. I
I'm
haven't
just
heard of that. What
throwing
is
out
that?
names in here. It's a it's a it's very similar to Slay the Spire deck build roguelite,
Okay.
but you're a spaceship, and you've got a crew. So your you've got three characters that have like different types of cards, and then your deck is the three decks like shuffled together. Um, and it's pretty good. It's pretty simple. You have your ship can move, like left or right, and then the, the enemy ships can also move left and right, and then they have different things like um, there's regular weapons, there's status effects, just a bunch of cool, and like any good deck building roguelite, like lots of good combos you can get,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just pretty good. I haven't like gotten through all of the levels or whatever. I still have a ship to unlock, um, but uh, but it's pretty good. It scratches that Slay the Spire itch, but
Sure.
is different enough to
Yeah.
be its own thing, and it's very cute. All the crew members are like animal.
Right. The anthropomorphic or whatever.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's just it's very adorable.
Yeah. I'm looking at it now. It's kind of cool looking.
Yeah, it is, and it's adorable, but the story is relatively it doesn't feel like cutesy animal.
Okay.
This is for children kind of
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's and it's cool. Very much like Hades, in the way that it loops or loops. It includes the looping as part of the story.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which I very much enjoy. So.
Yeah.
And then I was a bad boy and spent way too much money and got Super Mario RPG remake.
Oh.
Um, and I think it's too short, but it's pretty good.
Is it as good as you
Very
remember?
Yes.
Nice. I've pretty fond memories of us playing that back on the SNES.
Yep. It definitely scratches that nostalgic itch.
Yeah.
Yep. Pretty fun.
Right on. Right on. Have you seen? It's a kind of a zigzag, but the Mario RPG because I connected it. Have you seen the trailer for Expedition 33?
No. What is
Okay. Okay. So it's called. You check this out. If you look at it, it's called Claire Obscure Expedition 33, and essentially it's a high budget turn based RPG. But the reason it made me think of it from the Super Mario because they use like some of those timed button presses like you do in Super Mario RPG to get better attacks or to get good defense. They have like an active shooting mechanic. So if you have a guy with a pistol, you can actually like aim and shoot for weak points in enemies and stuff. It was just announced at like the Xbox showcase last month or earlier this month. Yeah. So it looks really, really awesome. It's not coming out till next year, but definitely one to keep an eye on. It looks really awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I'm up for more of that. Yakuza Like a Dragon has a little bit of that too, where you can like
okay.
Time mostly for blocks, but some of the special moves have different button presses you can do too.
Sure.
Not quite as many different types, but yeah, more of that is cool.
Yep. Did you play? Oh, that's right. You played Sea of Stars too, right? Last year.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And Sea of Stars
because I had that
well,
too.
which is
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. There's just something about having. It's like you don't need a lot, but just a little bit more to add to that turn base, right? It just keeps you engaged a little more, I think.
Yep. Agreed.
Nice. All right. Well, let's see. So I'm going to go on this one quickly because another surprise game for me this year was Dave the Diver.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm an RPG guy. That's primarily what I play, and then these Metroidvanias have been kind of sneaking up on me. But Dave the Diver kind of came out of nowhere. There's a lot going on for me in life at the time, right? And it just kind of came at the perfect time where it's just like this loop, of like, okay, you dive, you catch some fish, you go back up, you like, okay, here, turn this in. They're like, oh, hey, if you're down there, get me this. You're like, okay, you go down, you catch some fish, you find your thing, you fight some random boss, and you're like, what? I didn't expect that, shooting guns underwater and random stuff. Catch some sharks, whatever, and then you go back at night and you're selling a sushi bar, and so you quick little make sure you're feeding people on time or filling their drinks right or whatever, and then you loop again and and get deeper and deeper, upgrade your stuff. It's like I guess it had pseudo RPG mechanics, which I kind of need in like indie game. I like some kind of progression mechanic,
Sure. Yeah.
But that loop, is like the first game I've had in a long time. And again, I really think that games, there's like this kind of secret sauce in video games, which is the time of our life that we play them, right? Because I think if I played this game at a different time, I would have played for a little bit and been like, all right, I'm done. But it came at just the right time, and so like I was full degen mode on this game, right? Just like stay up till 3 a.m, even though I had to get up in 2 hours for work, just because I couldn't stop. Like, no, I got to do one more loop. Oh, one more day. Oh, one more day. Yeah, just really surprised takeover. I platinumed it because I was like 40, 50 hours in, had gotten most stuff, and it's like, oh, you just need to do these couple of things. I was like, done. I'll do it. I'm like, yeah. And I haven't done any of the crossovers, but they've brought over tons of like free DLC. Like they did a Godzilla one, and
Whoa.
yeah, it's like man, that's just super fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, so that was a surprise for me, but really, really good.
It's on my list. I want to play it.
Oh yeah, I'll be interested
totally
to hear
right
things.
about that time of life thing, though. Oh, sorry, what?
No, go ahead.
I was just because I read a book recently that was very much like, I was like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I would at least like it under any circumstances, but there's just something about reading it a few months ago.
Yeah.
That just hit that little bit extra for me.
Yep.
So it was like I was like, it doesn't matter. I'm saying it's a 5-star book. It's probably not. I'm probably going to reread this in like a year or two and be like, I don't know, Josh. But right here, right now, this book was so good. I liked it a lot.
Nice. What book was it?
It's I'm reading through the Brandon Sanderson Secret Projects.
Yeah.
So it was it's also everybody's least favorite, which I think was part of it. I'd seen a lot online about how people were like, I didn't like this one as much, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But it's the Frugal Wizard's Handbook to Surviving Medieval England, I think is the title.
Nice.
Hold on, let me pull it up and make sure I said that right. Yeah. Yeah, Frugal Wizard's Handbook for Surviving Medieval England.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was just one of those things where it's like I really related to the main character. I really liked all the side characters. I liked what they were doing with the story. It was a good time.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I think that the whole time of life thing I've learned really over this last year or something where it really kind of hit home because, like, for example, Witcher 3. I haven't played it, but I started it like 3 times, right? If you just look at the game, it is 100% my kind of game, right? Big open world, main story, fantasy RPG, lots of story, lots of, armor and weapons and building out your person and, leveling up, all that kind of stuff. But the multiple times I've tried have been when I've played several open worlds in a row or, big RPG after big RPG after big RPG. And so you start up and you're like, man, I'm exhausted. I just don't have it right now. And so you put it down. And I had that same thing with Ghost of Tsushima, which I feel like would 100% be my kind of game. But I played it after trying Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and I don't remember whatever else, but I played multiple open worlds in a row. And so started up another one. I was just like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. Right.
Yeah.
Whereas I think if I played those games after, a different group or at a different time in my life, they probably would work. But,
Sure.
Anyway. So, for me, and do you have any more games for this year?
I mean, nothing that I think really needs to be talked about. Of course, there are other games I played, but unless you want to just like go through my whole list.
I mean, if it's something you really enjoyed, I'm all for it. If you don't really care, you don't have to. Unless you want to nail some game, that's fine too.
No, I don't need nothing I need to nail. I've been pretty fortunate, at least in this last year, that I haven't played anything that I was like, ugh, trash.
Nice.
I mean, I beat Baldur's Gate 3.
Nice. So without full spoilers, what'd you think of the end?
Well, I played it with Brady and Dave.
Oh, okay.
And so there was very little to no use of most of the companions. We didn't even
sure.
In our game we never even met Asterion or Lae'zel.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And Shadowheart left because we didn't take her with us on her main thing. So she said, "Screw you, I'm out." So we just had Karlach, Gale, and Will. So between that and obviously, yeah, between that and obviously, it's this is nothing against Larian Studios because I'm sure it's very difficult to not only build a satisfying ending but also include multiple players. Because I'm sure it's like one person is the main character. So, anyways, you could just tell like there's a lot of bits that we were missing, and it couldn't account for like all the decisions of all three players.
Sure.
But it was still a pretty decent ending. We still mostly got a good ending. Dave was the only one. I don't know if I should be throwing out all these names, but that had any sort of romance. So him and Karlach at the end are fighting through Avernus, which is a pretty awesome, pretty metal.
Mm-hmm.
But me and Brady's character are just kind of like hanging out,
right?
Which, whatever. It's fine. It's not a big deal. It was still a satisfying like final battle. It was still cool to say like we actually finished this game, like 120-hour game.
Yeah, and together that's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Now, are you still playing? Because you were playing through on your own. Are you still doing that?
No, I haven't done that in a while. I'll probably get back into it eventually. Because I want to see all the companion story stuff.
Yeah.
But no, at the moment, been doing other stuff.
Sure.
And the one other little shout out to Graveyard Keeper. Which I don't think would be everyone's cup of tea. It's a weird, quirky, not quite farm sim. It sort of gets lumped in with those, but it's not. It like sort of is and it sort of isn't. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Something.
It's just the bones of it are kind of like that, but you're a graveyard keeper, so you're doing all kinds of things. They're still like you can still grow crops and they're still fishing, but it's a lot of. I don't think it would be everyone's cup of tea. Reviews are pretty mixed.
Yeah.
But and again, it might be just a perfect timing thing where I was just like in the mood for something Stardew Valley-esque, but a lot more weird.
Sure.
So anyway.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely get in those kicks, which is, I think sometimes something like that, like Story of Seasons or whatever. I kind of have, what is it? I have the newer one, Pioneer of Olive Town or whatever. It's kind of been on the PlayStation for a long time because it's like the kids can play it if they want. And when I need something to just kind of chill and not think too hard, I'll hop on and, manage all my stuff and, because you have your routine each day and then you have to think, okay, next day I need to make sure I do this. So, you kind of add that in. There's something good to those loop games, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so for me, my last two are bigger. I guess this one isn't I don't know. I think of it as an RPG, but it's probably more of an action game. But Jedi Survivor. Have you played Fallen Order or Survivor?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
So, as maybe your typical old man Star Wars fan, right, is in that I love the original trilogy and like very little outside of that. As far as Star Wars, I have tried multiple times to not be the grumpy old man, but every time I try, I'm like, no, this is crap. I don't like it. But Jedi,
you didn't like the Mandalorian?
I did enjoy parts of the Mandalorian. There were certain episodes in particular that I was like, dude, that's like top tier stuff. But the newest season, I got like 5 episodes in, and I was like, nope, bored to tears. You know, and even in the first 2 seasons, there were like chunks where I'd be like, nope, I don't care. And then, okay, now we did something good. And then I get bored again, you know? But I can admit there was some good stuff in that. Jedi Fallen.
You don't have to like it. I was just curious.
Yeah. No, to some part, right? Jedi Fallen Order though was awesome. That's the older one. Really good Star Wars story. Really liked it a lot, and it's Souls light, right? So
that's what.
So Survivor just takes that and ups the ante. It's just better at everything. You have multiple different weapon styles, so you can change your lightsaber as you find them throughout the game of different ways to wield it. So you have like your normal one-hand one. You can do dual blades. You have like a big one where you get like, you know, the long sword with the 2 like almost like cross guard, and you have like a heavy attack. You get like with a blaster, so you'll have like one-handed lightsaber and a blaster. A bunch of different things, and but yeah, so it had like Metroidvania elements where like you would learn new abilities, and that would
also mechanics.
Yeah, but one of the things I loved is a lot of times when you get a sequel, they like come up with some stupid thing that takes away all of your powers, and now you have to find them all again. And they didn't do that. You came in with your powers, but then you had to learn new ones and different things to get to new places. So that was cool, right? They didn't. I don't like having some stupid, you know, you have amnesia or whatever bullcrap. So, but like
you failed at your job, so we strip you of your power.
Right, exactly. But like legitimately, dude, there's this one story moment. So I don't want to spoil it too much, although it's a little bit old. But you get to this point where you're fighting like it's almost like a huge robot droid type thing, right? And you get this power. So there's some alien lady that you meet in the first one, and she's like, I think they call her a witch. So she has other powers that are not force powers, right? And so you're with her, and this thing attacks, and basically it's almost like warp, where she'll like open portals, and you kind of learn how to adapt to her power, and so you dash through these portals. And so what's happening is you're like flying through almost like slides or like tubes of this like portal thing she's opening, but you're all in the air. So like this big droid is attacking you, and so you're like running on a wall, jumping, dashing through this portal. You fly super fast and come out, and the droid finds you, trying to attack. So now you're trying to find, okay, dash over here, run on this, jump through another portal. It's bonkers, but it's like one of the coolest scenes all year. I was just like the whole time I was playing, I was like, oh crap, oh my god, like so freaking cool. And then you know, it's not like super difficult per se, but just like the spectacle of it was like phenomenal. It was so
nice.
Cool. Yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely recommend. Those games go on sale all the time. So if you ever have the inkling, I think even now on like the Steam sale, I think Fallen Order is like $5 or $10. But yeah, Survivor was huge hit. I loved it. It had emotional parts too. Like I don't think I necessarily teared up at this one, but definitely felt moved at points.
Sure.
Really, really cool stuff, big spectacle moments like that. They had like 2 or 3 that were all these big like whoa moments in it. Yeah, really, really loved it. I'm a little bit worried now because I think the guy who directed these games left the studio. So, like, I'm hoping we still get a third one and it's as good, but I don't know. It was, good stuff.
Nice.
And then, as of now, my front runner for Game of the Year is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So I know Remake's on the PC now. Rebirth will be eventually. And I think good news going forward is Square Enix has kind of committed to going more full multi-platform. I think they were losing money in these,
I'm sure they
deals.
were.
Yeah.
I can't believe they signed a whole 1-year exclusive with Sony. It's bonkers.
I mean, you figure Sony had to have given them a bunch of money, but even then, like,
sure,
how many sales are you losing? It's crazy.
You're selling to 1/3. No, well, it's not really 1/4. Let's be real.
Say Nintendo ain't getting that shit.
Nintendo, but 1/3.
Yeah,
you're only selling your game to 1/3 of the gaming community. Like,
right?
Why? Who thinks that's a good idea anymore?
Sure,
that's crazy.
It's crazy, and it's like you can. I don't want it for them, and I don't think they're gonna. You can get away understanding why they wouldn't put it on Xbox. Like, they just traditionally don't have a lot of RPG, especially JRPG buyers on Xbox. Just the clients on there. But on PC, like, it's crazy to me that they have it. I mean, so anyway, so hopefully going forward that won't be the case anymore. But dude, Rebirth is. I mean,
that being said, I haven't played the first one.
Right.
Yet, so
right. Yeah.
And it's been on the PC for a while.
Yeah. Well, I definitely recommend that. But the good news is, if you haven't yet, you can play Remake, and if you wait until Rebirth comes to PC, then you can go straight into it. Because, dude, so I liked Remake. I thought it was really good. I loved it a lot. But one of the things about it is, because it's all Midgar, it can feel pretty claustrophobic, right? It's like everything is in town, everything's under the plates. I mean, it's still awesome. I'm not trying to downplay it, but you're in tight quarters all the time, pretty much.
Sure.
And then Rebirth essentially starts with that walking out of Midgar into the world, right? Holy crap, this game, dude! Like, the amount of mini games and little things they put into it, the music. I mean, Final Fantasy always had great music. 7's always been, one of the tops. But, like, I mean, multiple times I, like, would stop. Like, you go into the forest, which as an area wasn't my favorite, but it looks amazing. But you walk in and it has, like, this, like, Scottish tune that kind of builds up. And it's one of those dynamic music, right? So as you, like, crest up a hill, it gets louder and bigger. And then if you get in something that drops down, it's like, oh my freaking gosh, dude. It's so good.
Nice.
Yeah. Huge story moments were great. Like, I heard some people making fun of it, and I thought they were stupid. You have that whole moment with Barrett and Dine. Do you remember this story, right?
Yeah.
And, man, I thought it was so good. It was like this powerful moment. Like, I actually thought Barrett has always been one of my least favorite Final Fantasy VII characters. Not that I didn't like him, but just, like, he wasn't my favorite. But he okay, I'm sorry. He is now.
No, it's fine. I'm shocked. Okay,
yeah.
Good.
No. Yeah. He is now. Rebirth, I thought, put him in such a good light. Like, his character, like, you have there's a side quest where you're, like, helping a dog, right? And it has. This game's nuts. So you're helping a dog. It has unique music for while you're helping the dog. And if you go into combat, it takes the dog music and puts it into, like, combat mode where it adds more to it and stuff. So there's, like, 2 missions in this entire, 100-hour game. And they have unique music just for these little, it's crazy. But the whole time you're helping this dog, you have, like, this whole, like, monologue from Barrett talking about Marlene and how he's going to be a good dad and what's he going to do if she ever wants to leave home. He can't bear to leave her, but he wants her to be ready. And it's just like, it's kind of silly but really endearing. You know, oh man, it was it's incredible. They took the combat system from remake and just they kept it, but just kind of made it deeper. You know, so they added some more things, and yeah, the story it was really fascinating. So I play through it, and then when I'm done, I go and watch other people's reviews and thoughts on it. You know, just to round out. People are having completely different experiences, right? So like you have relationship meters that are kind of hidden, but you can check at any time and see kind of your relationship with each party member. And so like obviously there's like the date at the gold saucer, but there are other moments where I guess people will say or do things with you that changes depending on your relationship with them.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So like one person was talking about how, oh, Yuffie was this nothing character. She never did anything. I was like, the fuck? Like when I played, Yuffie was awesome. Like super, I loved her in this game. And again, if you play the original game, she's stupid. Like I never understood, you know, like all her characters is stealing material and that's it. In this game, it's fun and upbeat and interesting. And they were like, oh no, there's nothing to her character. I was like, what? And they talked about a scene, and it was totally different than it was in my game. So incredible. They have side quests that each side quest has you and one of the other characters kind of takes front and center. So, you know, it's not the main story, but you know, you'll have like there's this one random one where this old lady asks you to catch chickens, right? And Red 13 is like, I can smell them. I'll help you, you know? And this lady's like all worried about her chicken. So he's smelling and you're following him. And then you do it's a stupid mini game, but whatever. You do this little mini game where you, you know, throw out bait and try to coax him back, right? And so you get him back to this lady. and then she goes, okay, perfect. Who's ready for dinner? so, you know, she cooks you chicken. And then... And then Red is like, he's like, I don't know how to feel. If I hadn't have done that, they'd still be living and free. But that chicken dinner was so delicious. It's like, it's just this like really great, you know, character building. It's a silly side quest, but it just makes them worth something, you know? And then of course, they did a card game, and Final Fantasy always has, I think, pretty good, you know, card games, but the one in this is called Queen's Blood, and I know this is sacrilege, but it might be better than Triple Triad.
I don't care, but some people on the internet are probably gonna rage at you.
I know, and deservedly so. Like I love Triple Triad. I love that game, but dude, Queen's Blood is. There's so much depth to it. There's like, cause it's a whole game, right? Like I listened to an interview with the devs, and they talked about how like the dev team that was responsible for this card game got so obsessed that they would stay up all night at the office playing each other in this card game that they had created. It's so good. You can build different ways. You set them on this, I guess, what is it? It's like a 5x3 map. And so you have rows, and you're trying to win the row by points, and you can affect the points of each card different ways and stuff. But the side quest for that is amazing. It's like another good Red 13 moment and another side character thing. Oh, good stuff. So, nice. Yeah, definitely. I guess the one down there I would say is it's so big and there's so many things to do that you can kind of feel like the pacing is off because you're like getting through a big story and it's like, oh, open world. But you can pretty much skip all of that if you want. Like you don't really have to engage. So, you know, you can kind of choose your pacing.
Any big RPG has that. Even Yakuza like a Dragon, because there's so many mini games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and so like sure in the story, right, there'll be moments where, like in theory, there's a sense of urgency, but you don't actually have to. You can pause and fuck off and do mini games for 30 hours if you want.
Right.
So yeah, I think a lot of RPGs can can potentially suffer from that, but
Sure.
for the most part, those of us who enjoy them know what we're getting into. And
Yep. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too. But I did notice like I was probably like 70 hours in, something like that, and I was like, okay, I want to just finish the story, right?
yeah,
So I stopped doing the side stuff and went for the story. It's still loaded on my PlayStation because I'm thinking, oh, I'll go back and do the side stuff. I haven't yet, so I don't know if I will, but I want to because I really enjoyed it. But
sure.
anyway, so yeah, I think that's kind of the top games of the year for me. I will do quick shout outs to, I haven't finished them yet, but just some games. Persona 3 Reload is super good, and if you have Game Pass, it's
Really?
on there. I mean, I love Persona, but
Right.
3 Reload is like, it takes 3 and brings it up to date with visuals and adds voice acting and adds a bunch of stuff to make the quality of life stuff go up. And I loved it. I still want to finish it. Yeah, really good. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I don't know if you saw this one all this year, but it's actually really good. It's not super long, but they are regularly giving free updates with more characters to get and play and more bosses to fight. And it's visually outstanding, like super good anime style graphics and stuff. Combat's really, really good, and you have all the characters played super different. So
Nice.
You have to earn them, which is sometimes annoying, but then you get to pick which character, and they give some little side story. Anyway, that was good stuff.
Cool.
And then I played this little indie game earlier in the year called Tales of Iron. Have you heard of that?
It sounds familiar, but
So Tales of Iron is you're a rat, and it's like 2D.
yeah.
Yeah. And they just announced this year that they are making the second game. And Tales of Iron was surprisingly good. Like, it was one of these. Yeah, I think winter sale or something. I got it for like, I don't know, a couple of bucks. But
I was gonna say it's $2.99 right now. On Steam.
High recommendation from me. It actually, yeah,
Alright.
it's a 2D Souls like. It's a little slow, but you have that weight limit. You have the things, you fight bugs and toads. The story is surprisingly good. They have the narrator with a really great voice, and they make fun of things, or some things that we would think are funny, and they seem super serious, and it's great. So good humor,
Nice.
super good combat. Yeah, I actually liked it quite a bit. It was super fun. They even had like
Cool.
your flask, your healing flask is bug juice.
Nice.
So you can get it from, like, you get these bugs, you kill them, and then just take the bug juice out of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. Yeah, so that's kind of the games of the year so far. There's a lot of good ones coming up, which maybe we'll talk about on next episode. We'll see. All right. So that's kind of the main segment. So next up is our touch grass moment. We kind of alluded to some
Grass.
touch grass, you filthy heathen. Yeah, so basically the idea of this is just to talk about something outside of video games that we've been doing, whether it's books or movies or, anything else, just kind of outside of gaming. So what you got, Josh? What you been up to outside of the gaming?
Gotta wait to talk about my books until touch grass. I'll try and remember. Actually, I was gonna bring up the audiobooks I've been listening to, and then I stopped myself because we're talking about video games. But so I've been listening to Dungeon Crawler Carl.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing. It's my new obsession. I can't get enough of it. I'm so excited. So it's a lit RPG. You know what
Okay.
those are.
Yep.
But relatively toned down. At least I haven't read a lot, but there have been some other ones that have been less inclined towards. But this is amazing. It the narrator is very good. He's so good. When I first started it, there's a female character that I thought was a separate voice actor.
Wow.
Yeah. He's doing like this Patrick Warburton impression for the main character, and it's so good. It's do you know who that is? So uh, he's in lots of shows, but you would probably know him as the voice of Kronk from Emperor's New Groove,
Oh, okay, okay.
Joe in Family Guy,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
among many other things. He's a talented guy. Um, but so it's so much so he does the impression. I don't know how exactly this came to be, but the sixth book, it's the newest one. It's the next in the series. I'm on book 5 right now. But they got him to do recording for the sixth book, so I'm so excited.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, it's just great. It's multiple. It's like really wacky, absurd, insane stuff, and then uh, pretty decent action, and then mixed with this like these really dark, like kind of effed up moments, and then I get the occasional like pretty decent emotional moments. It's so good. It's so good.
So give me
I'm
the
obsessed.
give me the basic plot line. Like what how does it start off? What happens?
So this guy goes out to get his girlfriend's cat. His girlfriend cat jump out the window and is in a tree, and he's like, Donut, you got to get back in here. Donut is the cat's name. His name is Carl. He goes out to get the cat, and while he's trying to get this cat out of the tree, um, boom! Every single building, including cars, is smushed. These aliens come to Earth, smash all the buildings, and open up these stairwells to a mega dungeon underneath the surface, and everybody gets the option to either enter the dungeon or stay on the surface of the planet where there's no buildings left anymore and try and survive. So everything with a roof was just smushed.
Jeez.
So this guy goes into the dungeon with the cat, and it's about them trying to survive. Very early on, he gets a, a some kind of magic biscuit, basically, that he feeds the cat, and it supposedly can do all kinds of different things, but it turns her into a fully sapient cat that can talk. And so instead of just being a pet, she is a fellow crawler. They call anyone who enters the dungeon a crawler. So it's about them trying to survive. And it's in lit RPG. They talk about stats,
Yep.
and items and the abilities of the items and that kind of thing. But the way they do it is very funny. It's not it doesn't feel, to me anyway, bogged down by like game mechanics and constantly going over that. And so yeah, I love it so much. It's so much fun.
Nice. And that was Dungeon Crawler Carl?
Dungeon Crawler Carl. Yep.
Dungeon Carl. Okay.
That's the series and the name of the first book.
Gotcha. Okay. I will have to look that up. I have yeah, I've read a couple of lit RPGs, or listened to, really. And like you said, some of them are really bad, but some of them are quite good. I'm trying to remember what the one...
Like, I will say, even this one, so it's just a small thing, and not everyone's going to take issue with this. I, as a player, am not the kind of person who is like, I'm going to loot and pick up everything I possibly can. That's just not me. I don't need to. I don't play Fallout and pick out, even I haven't played Fallout 4 where you can build the shelter with whatever, but I don't grab all the random, trash items. I don't do it. I don't need to pick up everything. And Carl, I think it's kind of also a joke because he literally picks up everything, and a lot of times the cat gives him flack for it because it's like, why? What are you doing? That's absurd. But again, I don't think everyone would take issue with that because some people are those kinds of players. So.
I'm that too, the loot goblin or whatever they call it. Yeah, that's funny. Nice. Well, I will definitely look that up. I've been in a bit of a funk with the audiobooks. Like, I typically I'll get going, and I can, because of the way I work and stuff, I'll cruise through, dozens of them in a month. And
Right.
For whatever reason, they just haven't been, I don't know, in my head lately. Like, outside of us listening to the Assassin series, I'd get one, and then I'd start it and I'd lose interest really quick. So like I got this one that was supposed to be a big deal called The Blade Itself. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I haven't read it yet, but I really want to.
Yeah, and it's been on my list. I had it on hold for like 3 months. It finally came in. I started listening to it, and I just didn't have the drive to keep listening to it, and so I didn't get very far. So I don't. It's not like I'm saying it's bad or that I won't like it or anything like that. I just whatever phase this is that I'm in, it's just not clicking. So it's like I have that N.K. Jemisin or whatever his name is book right now. Shoot, what's it called?
Broken Earth?
The 5th season.
This season. It's Broken Earth trilogy.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I have that. I have that first one, and I'm like, I need to listen to it. I want to. I've had this book on hold and come through a couple of times and not listened to it yet. I'm like, I need to do it. But I just good.
It's so good, and it's going to break you.
Oh. Okay.
Parts of it are going to be difficult for you. I'm just warning you.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the warning.
But if you can get through it, it's a phenomenal story.
Okay. All right. Well, that's the goal. In the meantime, what I have been doing is watching a bunch of silly, stupid anime.
Okay.
Totally in the same lane, you know? But so the way I tend to do anime is I watch it breaks at work or whatever. And so it's like I take, I have the new season of shows and I kind of pick the ones I'm interested in, watch those as they come. And then if I still have time, I'll have some other show that I'm behind on and, watch that. But one of the new shows this season is called, Windbreakers.
Okay.
And it's so contrary to what I typically watch, it's not fantasy like at all. There's no dragons, there's no swords or nothing. But it's this kid who's kind of always been ostracized, and so he started fighting because if it didn't matter what you look like if you're stronger than everybody else is the idea. And so he goes to this school that's known for being, he's going into high school. So he's going to the school that is known for being kind of like a house of delinquents, and they all fight, and there's turf wars and whatever, and whoever is the best takes like the top spot of the school. Anyway, and so he's going to go to the school and show that he's top dog or whatever. It's kind of the premise of it. And so like the first episode, he shows up. It's like the day before school starts, so he hasn't even gotten into school yet. And he shows up and he sees some gang is like trying to take this girl, and she's, get off me, I'm not going with you, whatever. And so he walks over and he's like, hey, if you're going to be lame, at least do it in the dark. And then he just beats this crap out of these 5 guys, right? And so the most of the story of this season is pretty silly, right? It's just like he wants to be the best, and then they're trying to show him, hey, the school's changed. We're not like that anymore. Now we protect the town, and now we protect people and whatever. And so it's like him, like them showing him that like, hey, we don't care that you look like a delinquent or something. Like we accept you. So he's learning to be accepted by people, and then he's fighting others on behalf, but still trying to take the top spot. So he's like warring. It's funny because he's a super tough, strong fighter, but then blushes the second someone like gives him a compliment or says thanks or something. So it's kind of silly, but the fights are like so freaking cool. They've really gone in on the animation, so they're beating the snot out of each other, and it's awesome. It's super, super fun. Nice. Yeah. So that has been probably my favorite this season. There were several others that I thought might be cool, and they were okay or whatever, but that one in particular, it's like every time it comes out, I'm like, ooh, let's go. Watch somebody get their face bashed in. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's definitely been one of my favorites. And then I kind of mentioned this to you, but I just found it, is Natural Six, which is a YouTube channel. I think they're doing stuff on, might have been Kickstarter or Patreon, I don't know. But it's a bunch of voice actors playing D&D. and so they all, and it's fully them playing. It's not like they've, recorded some special thing. It's like, they're asking the DM questions, and like they had in the first episode, both the player and the DM misunderstood. He used web and did something. And they were talking about how it worked. And I was like, nope, you're both wrong. It's not how it works. But whatever, that's just what it is. But just because they're all voice actors, so they all try to get into character, and like one of them sounds like Drax. Like, I don't think he is. I mean, maybe I wasn't really watching. I was listening to it more, so maybe it even is. I don't know. But so his character is like a dragonborn, but he's a druid, and he likes wood, and so he's like carving spoons out of wood all the time. And these people are hilarious. They're like, one of them is a bard, and she's like, I scoop up all the spoons he's been making and put them in this guy's backpack to piss him off. And so, like, it was freaking hilarious. And I've only watched the first episode, but yeah. And it's got Ben Starr. If you don't know who that is, he's the voice actor from Final Fantasy 16, and he's hilarious. Yeah, definitely. He's really good voice actor, and he's got this really deep, like, English voice, right? So he's got that, Britain accent or whatever. But then, I mean, he's hilarious. So really, really good, really, really good. It makes me miss playing D&D a bit.
Sure.
But yeah, it's good stuff.
But it also kind of makes you feel like you're it's obviously not a substitute for actually playing, but it kind of, I don't know, because yeah, I've watched like a fair amount of Critical Role and some others, and it scratches like a partial itch,
right?
Not a full, obviously. Nothing's a substitute for actually playing, but
yeah, but still pretty good stuff. Cool. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's kind of it for the episode. Any other game stuff? Anything you want to talk about before we go?
I think I'm okay for now.
Awesome. Okay. Well, cool. So this has been episode 1 of Cail's Cast. It's been a good time. Thanks for chatting with me. Yeah. So guys, if you're watching, make sure you like and subscribe and all those YouTube jazz stuff. Also, if for you guys watching, if you are interested, you want to ask questions, if you leave them, at least for now, just leave them in the comments, and we will add that to the show to try and answer some of those. So feel free to do that as you will. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.
Later.